crunch time for the Gladiators and the Spitfire respectively, as this fourth map will be the decider after we saw a draw in map number 2. Decay, Matt, what are your thoughts?
Oh, he's been sick. I mean, on that map, almost 18k damage compared to Profit, sitting at about 13k.
And Profit, by the way, prior with some of the best Zarya stats in the league.
Towards the end of the game, right, when the game ends, like just like at home with Overwatch, right? The cards pop up, like who performed the best.
Yep.
I always look, and I never really see anybody vote. 2 people voted for Decay that game. They were showing him slow. Maybe it's his teammates on the end, like that's Hydration's way of thanking him, like, hey, man,
the button. That's still stuff that we see. It's off camera. It's really relevant as well, especially with how these compositions work. But his team's just trying to get behind him, just trying to pump the man up. That's what we like to see. So Dorado coming around the corner, and we've seen the Spitfire, Matt. They have played Winston maybe in a few more situations than you expected them to.
Yeah, I mean, I think opting in for the Winston on offense against Winston defense in the 3-3. You saw exactly when the Gladiators ran the Rhine, why you run Rhine in that composition against the Winston on defense, why it's so effective. Reinhardt here on defense, usually we see teams play really close to the corner. So you can't really do this with I mean, you could do it with Winston, it's just so much riskier, and you would have given up a ton of space. Already, though, the Gladiators have created a ton of space. London doesn't even fight that, which is kind of bad. You almost want to fight that first so you get the second fight here. They get pushed back so far, they lose this fight. They're in trouble. They are running the Sombra, though, here, so maybe just trying to get some...
The more ground that they give to the Gladiators, the more room in the back the guard has to work, technically.
Yeah, but you're gonna end up in a situation where the cart moves, almost around this statue.
Well, they've lost the chance to fight in the choke now.
And if you don't get an EMP here, you've ran this comp, and you're not really kind of generating anything with it. And now this actually forces Fury onto Zarya, with Profit on Brig. So we know how good of a Brigitte Profit is, arguably, I think, the best Brig in the league last year. We haven't really seen Fury play too much Zarya. Usually only playing Diva, but looking good thus far.
Fury already with that Graviton Surge. Now, Biggies was picked off early in that fight. I think the guard actually managed to hack him. Okay, I kind of like this Fury. This is... I mean, there is literally no chance for any of your teammates to help you follow up on that Graviton because they don't have that sort of vertical mobility. And yet, he goes through
that Fury does not play a ton of Zarya.
Yeah. Well, that's a big hack. Shaz, Hydration, Big Use, Raw, all of them hacked up. Void actually got hacked manually by guard after the fact. Another Transcendence comes in for Shaz. This is one of those situations where your Zen isn't able to make that impact early on in the fight. He gestured down. Earthshatter here as well. That knocks down 3. And yep, Raw's going to charge on through. Nuss tries to redirect him, but he can't stop him from getting the connection.
Yeah, and Gesture just a little bit out of position there. He ends up trying to block his team from the self-destruct. He gets launched to the other side. He falls. Soon as he falls, the second he drops, Earthshatter comes in from Roar. They had used the sound barrier at that time. London didn't get anything out of it, though. So, see, London's still going to play, the Sombra version of the 3-3. You can't really call it 3-3 because it's not 3-3, but everybody calls that anyway, so.
Sombra Goats still doesn't really make any sense to people.
Doesn't make any sense.
There's no intuitive meaning.
It's actually not Goat.
It's not. It's not. You might have heard that word thrown around a little bit on social media and stuff like that. We use 3-3 instead. Oh! Okay, guard gets out earlier there. He could have picked off Shaz. It was a huge EMP, and absolutely the Spitfire had to follow up on that one. Shaz is still able to slink away. Funnily enough, it may have been...
in the fight, though. So.
Yeah, it may have been the armor as well that Hydration gave with the old repair pack that helped him. Okay, interesting.
It's interesting they play so close without the sustain of having that third tank, as that'll be the grab that goes into the statue. So Gesture does pick up Big Goose, through the Transcendence, as they were getting that ability off, but not able to survive there. Shaz, you kind of waited. You got really nothing with the trans. You would have liked to keep all the supports alive during that.
I like that you point that out, that London don't have that extra tank, and yet they do want to play so aggressively and close. Is that because they're just trying to lean into getting more damage to sort of, make the fights quicker so they don't lose in a protracted engagement?
I mean, more damage. Roar actually uses Shatter here. I wonder if we see him switch. I wonder if they're going to decide to play a Winston here against this. Maybe the Sombra's giving them some trouble. No, actually, just try to use the Shatter backing up the stairs. But now you're going to come back. You're going to keep... If London plays this right, though, Mitch, you can keep cycling these abilities. EMP there, it's big. It connects with all 6.
That's 6, yeah.
Everybody will drop. But now, look, you can keep cycling these together, right? And now you have the grab coming up. Then you'll have Shatter. You get 3 support ults. Then you'll have EMP again. You can keep kind of cycling these ultimates here.
This is what you wanted to see
London.
from the Spitfire at the start of this half, man. You wanted to see him hold closer. Now they're delivering. And with one ultimate, that EMP, you're able to win a fight, which is very efficient. Quite often we see ultimates used in combinations of 2 or more to win fights for teams. And this is very efficient. They just grabbed that fight and they win that one out. 2 support ults still there.
You haven't had to use anything. Shaz gonna play Ana now. He's, let's see if he stays on it. He's like in the spawn trying to heal some players up, but nope, they're gonna wrap up. They're gonna try and go high ground here, it looks like.
Not a route that we normally see taken here. Bidoshin Transcendence.
They lose
gets
players
into the grab.
early.
Perfect timing from Bidoshin as well. He could have lost a couple of players, but he actually preempts the damage a little bit. From Bidoshin's perspective, there was no one on the Spitfire that was dangerously low at the time. He went for the Transcendence, but he knew they would be by the time he got up there.
And this is when we saw them first bring Guard into the lineup, have really good success when he was running Sombra, and they were playing this, Sombra alternative 2-3-3. A lot of ultimates here for the Gladiators, but you can't engage using Sound Barrier because they're going to EMP, right? You're gonna walk into this.
And this Ana switch from Shaz is mad respect to Guard. He just doesn't want to get blown up instantly as Zenyatta anymore, and maybe he can do something a little bit more. Mad, unreal respect, bro. EMP, there it is. Another 6-man one. The Spitfire now need to close the gap and actually try and get something for these kills, and they do. The Gladiators are being spawn camped. There's no 2 ways about it.
But look, they've cycled these abilities so well that Bidoshin will end up with a trance in the next fight. You have Sound Barrier. And now for the Gladiators, because you don't have Transcendence, you really just have Big Goose's Sound Barrier for like AoE sustain. I mean,
No Shadow. Okay, a couple stuns there as well. Both supports were knocked down, and you see that biotic grenade on towards Prophet, but it doesn't matter if there is a Sound Barrier in play. Now the Gladiators get one of their own. Raw was hacked there for just a moment, and Gesture quickly trying to back away. Translocated for Guard to get away from that self-destruct. I respect that play immensely. Raw Hydration, all void, also knocked down. Nussie's low, but he's managing to stay alive and keep Bidoshin up. This is fantastic from the Spitfire. A fight that could have turned against them on multiple occasions. They're staying in it. Prophet gets a late rally, which is a huge difference now when a lot of those cooldowns aren't available. And 6 seconds left.
And they're going to have to run into this EMP. Guard going to get it now.
He's just going to stand on the payload. He says, well, you have to challenge us. I'm just going to kick Q as soon as you walk up. And there it is. Only Void caught out by the DMP. And the focus is not on that Diva currently. So not the most efficient use of that ultimate. And the Spitfire start to take a couple of steps back, realizing they've overstayed.
And he actually gets stunned by Hydration. And then he uses the EMP. So he wasn't in the ideal spot to use it. He was set up to use it quick adjustment from Hydration. But here's going to be London. They're going to get aggressive. It'll be a nano boost here that's used on the Roar. Shatter gets nothing. London's now going to invest the grab.
Void can't eat that one either. No one's been eating Gravitons at all in this particular game, but Fury goes down. You saw how aggressively he was playing. He was trying to get close to find a good spot to use the grab, and he punished for it. He backs up. Hydration, despite getting a biotic grenade, went quite low, and Guard, again, just trying to charge up that next EMP. He translocates out. There is a Graviton now for the Gladiators. EMP, Transcendence, Sound Barrier for the Spitfire. If the Gladiators get knocked off this payload for half a second, it's over.
You see where Decay is playing. He does not want to get hit by this EMP. He needs to hide, try and get this grab on.
He knows he needs this grab in this fight. Here comes the push. Sound Barrier coming out. Guard hasn't used the EMP quite yet. Another Transcendence is being used. Decay went for the grab, and it was a late EMP in the fight. Roar is pushed down. Oh, man. Decay's just not where he wants to be right now. He had to hide in the church for so much of that fight, and he already used the Graviton Surge to little or no avail. Late fight, Fury charge looking pretty good. Now they want to run over the top of Void. Decay pushing forward, uses his own barrier. He's forced to. The Gladiators, a Sound Barrier comes out. They brought Hydration in on the Hamtaro, except he got pretty chunky in his later years after joining Overwatch. Now Void, forced back. This is it. Hydration's got to get caught up in the Graviton Surge, and Roar is down. The Spitfire have to concede a little bit of extra distance at the end of that round, but overall, Matt, you have to be happy if you're London.
The Gladiators had no response for the Sombra play of Guard. He finishes the map, the first map, without a death there. 39 enemies hacked, 27 of them via EMP. So getting tons of value with the EMP, charging an EMP every 56 seconds. So get this. So remember what I was talking about, they're able to cycle their ults so well. You're getting an EMP every 56 seconds, Shatter every 57, and then you're getting grab every 1 minute and 5. So you always have one of those big abilities to use, and there's nothing that the Gladiators can do because You don't want to invest any of your support ultimates as you walk into the EP, not really able to do anything when the grav comes towards the end. You can't use everything when the grav comes because then you have nothing to do with the EP. So you want to like just kind of wait it out, but it's so hard.
I'm so impressed, by the way, that Decay is able to have a 60% average energy in that half when he spent the majority of the time in spawn with the rest of his team. 6 deaths for Decay, whereas Prophet only had 1. Prophet 24 eliminations, 2 final plays.
You can get that 60 average energy dying 6 times when Roar dies 9 times.
Roar with a large chunk of the damage though from his team. He's actually he's got as much damage as Decay does, which is maybe not super common. Normally the Zaryas outstrip the Reinhardt by a considerable amount.
Yeah, I mean, he's just in there swinging, right? I mean, you can see how, even for London, which is interesting. So, Prophet, usually like their top damage dealer, right? But he's playing Break for that half. The whole first half. He's down at like 4,600. Fury did a nice job, though, with Zarya, right? 11K, kind of in the same area where Gesture is.
The first grab was a bit questionable, but...
that was... I erased that one so quick. But we saw that the other day, though, too, right?
Oh, this is cute.
Oh, nice little boost here.
Yeah, Prophet gets himself up on the high ground. It's something to keep an eye out for. And again, he just wants to try and... Oh, I can see Void really just trying to avoid it as much as he can, because if Void starts getting lasered by the Zarya, he just has to take the damage. He can't do anything about it. Look at him sitting off on towards the side. Now he's backed away. So the Spitfire have managed to corral the Gladiators now into this cul-de-sac, but they're not really moving the payload. So they either need to get aggressive here or go back to the payload itself. Oh, Decay's down! The pick from Prophet backed up with a Discord orb, of course. Brennon happy with that one, and now the Gladiators are getting run over. This wasn't how it was supposed to be. The Gladiators were playing passively so they could actually have a robust defense. Instead, they start losing players one at a time.
And we talked about it a lot last week. The stats back it up. When you lose your Zarya first, the fight is pretty much done.
You win in like 5% of fights?
Yeah, when your Zarya dies first, you only win 5% of those fights. So you can do the math on what it is. You don't have the Zarya. It's not looking good.
We don't have time for that, fam.
For the rest of the squad. No time.
Can't do it all.
Time for that. But the first death from Decay is big, obviously. It gives up first point here to London. But it also sets him behind Prophet in terms of grab charge. And he just got the grab. You have Decay at only 60%. Oh, Roar gets boosted up. He's going to shatter and just try to keep himself alive.
Yeah, I mean, it had to be the Transcendence committed to the fight. It could have been all over right there. And then for the Gladiators, that's a self-destruct grab combo. Bomb drops in. That's 2. All the Gladiators now just limping away from this fight, but they're not going to be allowed to escape. The Spitfire realize now they're locked onto their target, and they're not going to let them go. And then the next fight doesn't look that great for the Gladiators. Decay does at least have his Graviton Surge. Nuss will have to sound barrier that to keep his team up, but they have to be very quick. This golden box of victory is not far away.
Well, the issue is that you're going to be so close to that victory box if you're London, that the Gladiators are going to have to invest everything. So you invest everything, you draw the fight out a little bit, you come back with all your ultimates in the next fight and you take it there. This is not the end-all be-all here for the London Spitfire on this push.
And as a result, they may just not play as aggressively. The margin of error for the Gladiators is the one that is slim currently. The time bank lead is considerable. 3 minutes 55 left. Decay lets that Graviton Surge go. The Spitfire do commit the sound barrier to it, so they might actually try and make something out of this fight. And Void does go down. The kill's traded out with Guard missing now at a 5v5. Nuss knocked back on the point. Sound barrier for the Gladiators now, and Big Goose managed to hang around long enough to let that one go, but Decay burst down! Brennon just mashing him there with the orbs. Raw shield is broken now. The shatter comes out from Gesture, but Raw charged forward to avoid being knocked down. But now he's out of position, and he's so low. He gets to the payload, but Gesture finishes him off with a fire strike, and it's over. The Spitfire will take the series 2-1 and continue that upward trend after a week. Week 1, week 2 looked good. Week 3 continuing to look stellar for the mat.
Guard has made a big difference coming into the lineup. Bird Ring standout player from last year for London, but Guard being able to pick up some of the Brigitte duties from Prophet, allow him to play Zarya at a very high level, but really what you saw here in this match was the Sombra play towards the end. That was the biggest difference towards the end. Guard Sombra swung this last map in London's favor.
It's interesting because we talked a little bit about Guard, earlier on in this series, saying what is his hero pool looking like? None of it was really being leveraged outside of the Brigitte and Sombra.
He's literally not played anything but the Brig and Sombra.
So what does that tell you about the potential, the ceiling of this Spitfire roster now they've worked out the kinks of you know, their first couple of weeks of games?
I mean, in this meta, the way it is right now, they can run, you know, the Winston 3-3. They can run the Rhine 3-3. Probably, you know, their Rhine 3-3 actually look pretty good here on the final map. And I think, look, they have one of the better Zaryas coming up with Profit. You see their last 2 games are definitely winnable. I know going up to Dragons and then Soul. Look, you know they're either going to run, you know, one of the 3-3 compositions, or they're going to run Sombra, but they've been so good when Guard plays this Sombra. It's a lot easier to, you know what's happening and then try and beat it. They're very good at this playstyle. I think, you know, London, they look like they could win these next 2 games, potentially find themselves in the stage playoff.
5-2 is
it's really good.
Very likely to be above the cutoff for our stage 1 playoffs at the very least. So they have to be happy with that one. Not a moment too soon, they corrected their course and they started to look fantastic. Now, let's throw back a little bit. Volskaya was an interesting map here where both teams just didn't want to switch off the Winston.
I mean, which is odd considering how, you know, I don't want to say it was great, but you know, London's Reinhardt composition looked better than it has in the past, you know, a few weeks. We saw when the LA Gladiators went in their overtime push and went on offense, they ran the Rhine, burst the Winston, they were able to take it with ease. I think this map, you know, London could have done a much better job.
Right. I'm so done with people trying to take hot takes about Gesture's tank hero pool is Reinhardt. Like, none of you are right. You're all mad wrong. And then he just turns up and
not just like, wrong, you're all mad wrong.
Proper mad wrong, fam. He looked very, very good here. Obviously, in the final moments, the Gladiators opted to play that Reinhardt at that little bit more. And we saw, you know, Spitfire go, this is actually now kind of hard to kill with just a Winston. Yeah. And, well, if we commit to the fight for a long period of time, we're actually going to be way behind in damage. Gerardo, completely different story. Fury started off on the Zarya here for defense.
And I think they just do that because you don't want Fury to play break. We've never seen that. It would just be really odd, as I do need Zarya in this composition. And then you just have Profit go back to Brigitte, which he's so talented at. And I thought, you know, Fury as you know, a Zarya, which we don't see him play a ton. He really much just stays on D.Va. Had a pretty good showing. The first grab, all right, that's kind of questionable. But after that, it's pretty good. Yeah,
look, they're playing so far forward. When they leverage the Sombra so effectively, it has to be frustrating. Yeah. You know, the Gladiators were forced to switch off the Zen towards an Ana, presumably because they needed to get some value in fights where EMP was used against them. Ana, of course, can still heal, whereas Zen just gets exploded.
Yeah, I mean, they were not able to counter that Sombra whatsoever. I mean, they were trapped in their spawn, which felt like forever.
It was about 3 minutes, to be honest with you. Yeah. Let's see who our player of the match is, though, for this victory for the Spitfire. One that is going to propel them forward in the next couple of weeks with some confidence. And it was Profit playing over a couple different roles here. He's the man with the honors.
Yeah, I think you could have went either Profit or Guard, you know, during this series. I actually thought up until the final map, it definitely was Profit. And I think Profit's versatility towards the end, being able to go over and play break, really kind of helps him. We know that Guard can play Sombra. We know he can play Brigitte, but when you need somebody to just pick up a hero, it seems, you know, at any moment to play it at a world-class level, Profit's able to just do it on the fly.
It's filthy that he just plays everything. It's unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, and you're going up against a roster with a highly touted Zarya player, so Profit needs to be at his best, but statistically, Profit is having the greatest impact in team fights, so I definitely think he deserves the Omen by HP player of the match. No doubt about it.
It's actually mind-blown that he wasn't their Zarya player at the beginning of the year, right? You haven't been for those first 2 games of those losses. Like, are we looking at a London team that's just kind of run the table at this point? You don't know.
Every time. At least they're not waiting until the end of the season to start looking good. So, but I mean, who knows? Stage 2, Stage 3, it's a long season. However, coming up, this is going to be a really fascinating game. A game, I guess, of the veterans versus the upstarts. It's going to be the Toronto Defiant taking on the New York Excelsior. That's one not to be missing. I'm looking forward to that one. We're going to be back with that one in just a few moments.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. High ground or low ground, T-Mobile has you covered.